Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think it is time to meditate and pray. Dear Father in heaven, please give me guidance. For those of you that are not on my main channel of 16,000 subscribers, for example, if there are any local women that I've talked to that are here, you haven't voted in any recent polls that you're still here. Maybe you don't vote in the polls, maybe you never came. But it's very important for you to understand that when money goes away, when these events begin to transpire, there's going to be human traffickers crawling all throughout this metro area, places like Portland, places like New York, and vulnerable women that aren't paying attention, that have negative karma, they're wearing Bluetooth, headphones and whatnot. They're going to be in for a world of hurt. Okay. So there's a couple of things that I've been talking to you about in the course of the last day. We'll start here. One person unsubbed from this channel, and then one person, two people, three people unsubbed from the other channel. Now, we did have an influx on the other channel of Bolo Young fans from the action clip that I edited. 80 subscribers on the other channel. This channel, 3 people subscribed. And so some of the people unsubscribing may not be regulars, and I really shouldn't think too much into it, but it's frustrating not being able to reach more people with this relevant information. So instead of share with you the 4 hours of content on the other channel, we're just going to go over the cliff notes for anyone here local that needs it summarized, because I don't have time, frankly, to edit shorts. I'm sorry. There's a lot of people that are going to be born next week, and there's going to be a lot of people born in the month after that. I told you on this channel, if you were watching, that there would be a baby boom after April, okay? Because after April, there was an increase in sexuality. Even I found myself strongly interested in finding a partner for the first time in a very, very, very long time, okay? And I've been abstinent from sexuality with others for a very, very long time during the solar minimum. And I chose to attempt to change that during the solar maximum. And so I can see how my physiological nature changes, how I become active and choose to harness the power of the sun for the greatest good. Instead of sex and violence, to use it for intellectualism. Okay. And a lot of people in this world that are out of balance, as I talked to you for years, they tend to sometimes go to the dark side. So what's in the news? Okay. Donald Trump claims to be under fire. One of his buildings is under attack. They claim that a terrorist who planted a ISIS flag from Texas, who drove from Texas, I believe they said, to New Orleans and killed a number of people in a terrorist attack, last name Jabbar. Do you or do you not recall in the days leading up to this, because I'm partially psychic, showing you the Anthony Hilder warnings when I haven't uploaded anything like that for a long, long time? The Anthony Hilder warnings regarding false flags. What about Jack McLand? Go back to some of the earlier uploads. And by the way, isn't it silly that I privated 400 videos for a week? Yeah, that's over. You think that by me kowtowing, saying sorry when I'm right, impresses people? Women, others will only think less of me. I'm not interested in people of a low voltage. And honestly, there's a lot of pretty out people, men and women out there, although I'm not gay, right? But there's a lot of pretty people out there that are considered good looking to a lot of women, or I consider some people not ugly, handsome, without being a homo, but still see how their good looks, right, is not necessarily a sign that they are spiritually developed. Likewise, there are people in this world that may not be the right perceivable race, size, weight, and they may really actually have a lot more to give. Why? Because they were gifted by God, myself included, by not having a model body. And, maybe when we're young, we look super cute before we develop a brain for ourselves, before our nose grows to maybe a size that's too large or awkward for mainstream society. The truth is, society is way more judgmental and discriminatory towards various groups, and society is lost in a satanic mind control lie. Okay. And it really is an alien agenda. A lot of this racism taking place really is an alien agenda. The man here does not appear to, he is from a Middle Eastern country that I can tell from the pictures. He appears possibly African American, and it says that he was a U.S. veteran. There is a history of U.S. veterans on Army bases opening fire. And so the real discussion there is the radicalization of some people in the military that may actually have different ideologies. All right. I'd like to start covering various bits of news. There's so many things that I can talk about, but there's lots of shootings in Portland, in New York, in other places on the planet. Okay. And there's of course also going to be the stories of the rapes and assaults that happened last night behind closed doors that were never reported on, that the females may never have reported. And then you also have to think about situations in which women that aren't too bright, that don't have good dads, that don't have good moms, how some women, in particular petite women around monster giant dudes, but not just them, can be influenced to be super submissive, okay, and to not report it because of some type of fear or whatnot, right? So that's also an epidemic, okay? And so from the increased solar activity last night with New Year's, okay, it's safe to assume that a lot of people got laid, that were seeking to get laid, that were open to, say, a partner. And so what will happen is people will normally fuck, bang, and suck upon people during solar maximum that they normally would never touch with a 10-foot pole. And furthermore, sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, speaking for a male, when you're too drunk to fuck your coworker. We'll tell you about that some other time. Sometimes it's a blessing when you're too drunk to fuck. Would you like to hear that song, by the way? Or would you like to look at the Geomagnetic report? By the way, chat is open. So let's start here, my friends. Then I want to thank Gypsy Fox for hanging out in the chat room. I want to tell you, you can check out Gypsy Fox at the front of my channel. Now take a look at this raw. Just gonna make sure we're live. There's the story about the prison staff in upstate New York that have been fired. Okay, and so the story of the assault happened, right? We talked about this, didn't we? I think I uploaded it right as the solar activity was kicking off again. Okay, so it's January 2025, and the national news was, okay, again, look at the front page. These are other channels with content that you can benefit from watching. Let's go ahead and show you Psychic Ty. And any one of these I may remove. No one's obligated to stay here. And some people are going to look at this and go, oh my God, it's a guy in a turban. And they won't even realize he's way deeper than your average New Ager in warning you about the dark ETs, also known as the aliens. Now, this is Psychic Ty. Okay. And this is an individual from Portland, Oregon, who did predict, okay, who did predict that there would be an increase in explosions and some other things that may have possibly come true. So because there are few psychic men with YouTube channels out of the Portland, Oregon area, in which I think that there is a certain energy that maybe certain people with certain abilities can tap into, I will, for right now, tell you about his channel. We just had somebody bail. We don't know why, but it was at the very moment that I showed this page. Okay. And so it could be random, or it could be an energy moving them along because of the direction that I'm going. Okay. Now there's going to be some people that sub to me for other videos, like the boxing videos or the sparring videos. And most MMA fighters or boxing trainers, coaches are going to be really horrified by the deep level of tough guy intellectual content. And really most of them are highly feminized and couldn't fight their way intellectually out of a paper bag. My old friend, the A-Man that I bragged about for years, would actually brag about how the dollar would never die, cash would always be king. And I would just find that to be just, he also would say quite often that bread and circus would always exist, thus he would always have job security. And they threw his ass away. So in other words, I'm not trying to be hurtful to him and others, but I am a teacher of concepts that a lot of people live today do not understand. So you need to educate yourself, little ones. Okay. Now I want to keep this channel alive and speak in unique ways outside of the main channel. And my greatest fantasy is to be a real good teacher. Okay. To teach things remotely. without being in a real classroom, without going to college. And I've invited a lot of people to this channel. And so it's very important that people begin to educate themselves about the solar cycle and what is happening in this world. Okay. So we're just going to basically go over some headlines now, but going over what was covered on the other channel, there's an event blamed on terrorists, at least in New Orleans. They say that he planted an ISIS flag. And note, if you're able to, that I uploaded videos prior to this of Anthony Hilder and Jack McLam and others warning of false flags and the Nazism and socialism, communism being one particular unit or punch, paraphrasing, against the American people. Okay. There's a lot of robberies. 4 adults found dead inside Pierce County home during welfare check. And I understand that, it's been suggested that I don't make videos right now because of New Year's Day. There is no real day off when you're dealing with this level of accelerated activity. Also, a Muslim woman has gone missing. Are there any Muslim women that ever paid attention to my offer to help them? How about husbands? There's going to be an increase in Muslim women being disappeared. When people unsubscribe from me, there's never an exit letter. There's never any, hey, you know what? You can't talk like this. I will never listen to you. You can't talk about accidentally stumbling upon naughty internet content. You can't talk about criticism of Muslims. You can't talk about criticism of Orthodox. So when people leave me unsubscribe from this, there's no way of knowing if it was something that I legitimately should change or if I was right on point. Honestly, there really isn't much space on my plate in my world for people that are demonically possessed. And it breaks my heart to know and suspect that a great deal of the females that I'm hot to trot for locally are not worth my love. And it hurts because I think my love is cozy. And I would think I have a lot to teach. And what I sense about them and everybody that I've met here locally is they want no part of it. Okay. And so we look at the world in which, here's the female cop. Great. Some women are moving up in the world. She's being interviewed. But there's a role for me also to be on the news, to be reaching a lot of people, being that I've warned about these world events and they're happening. Okay. There are no other people. I wonder what that's about. But sometimes I wonder also if there are no other people also, and that you're not really here. You're not really emailing me when I've asked in the past. Those that have messed with my mind and my emotions and try to make me feel small and things I won't mention because it gives them power to know they've harmed me. And that's sick. But it's teaching me a lot about evil and demons inside people that really should know better than to be so cruel to people that really just want to be their friend platonically. And it just goes on and on. What I'm noticing out of people. And so I'm noticing a synchronicity of cruel people after April 2024 in my own audience, never talking to me again as I became more and more psychic because they don't believe in those things. They believe everything is sorcery or against God. If you have special abilities, they don't believe that I can be touched. You know what I mean? And that's sad. So then don't leave. Now, chilling footage captures New York City bystanders fleeing for their lives in brazen grocery shooting. So we'll just show you this. And then if you are developing your psychic abilities, then you may pick up on what's going on in your town, what's going on with your people. I noticed on local social media pages, there has been a rash of human trafficking stories of young females that weren't really discussed a few months ago. Okay, but they will still refuse to hear out a perspective. It's not really clear if it's racial because I'm short and brown, or if they would trust a tall or white, tall or black, male or female. Okay, what I can show you though is a good looking female who is blonde with a video with many thousands of views, also an Aaron Doherty who has the look. He's got the look. He's got the look. And what they were born in, their form, plays a massive contributing factor in their success. As far as Aaron Doherty is concerned, there's a lot of this non-stop new age ascension, 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 ascension. Why people look up to people like that when women are being harmed tells us something about people that would look up to people like that. He should be talking about the dark side of the modern world and not just be promoting a lovey-dovey, 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 head in the clouds, Teal Swan, Ralph Smart, actual cult leader type of demeanor where we don't focus on what? The negative and people that have actually survived human trafficking attempts. People that have actually survived human trafficking attempts should ask more of their favorite content creators than ever once. We have to actually ask ourselves, is there some sort of a kink that conspiracy women have for these men that are Johnny-come-latelys do-nothings with a spite for me? What is this kink? And does it mirror the dark, dark kink of rape porn that some women watch? This disdain for the good man and this admiration of the one that does the bitch slap with intention to harm. Let me just say this. The only moral, in my opinion, harm that I think that God would allow is people being exposed to, whether they like it or not, true, not religion, but spiritual information and enlightening information that isn't being censored. That is what a lot of people would consider real punishment that would not give them a smile. And that's what a lot of people need. I'm not talking about concentration camps. I'm talking about people being exposed to not hardcore adult content, but deep spiritual content that promotes empathy, that promotes love, that promotes the golden rule, which, by the way, Ron Paul talked about back in the day. The golden rule, what goes around comes around, was a staple bread and butter talking point of the truth movement. It is now gone. It is now gone, like many viewers, like many of you. And we're 18 minutes into this, and we don't have a consistent viewer. And there's no way for me to ascertain if the people that are coming and going, 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 are coming and disliking and leaving, or some sort of a bot, or just coming for a few minutes of loosh and then running on by. Okay, you need to understand that I'm 20 years into this. And if I show you the back end of the view counts of my YouTube channel, okay, you could see videos in which I'm unshaven. You can see videos in which I'm unwashed. 400 views, 500 views, 1,500 views, 6,000 views. Right now, I'm not off grid. Now, I'm showing the many, many things that I predicted. And people, sometimes in this audience, sometimes local women, sometimes douchebag dudes that have watched me for months or years, they don't have the IQ to realize what shadow banning actually is in my world. All right? So I've been right about a lot of things. And then some people, they can't handle the new guy that's talking to you now. The masculinity, the strength, the calling out of so many things. They like the old me that was way more vulnerable to their psychic attack, manipulation, and influence. Trolls were way more easier or easily able to influence my mood and infect me with negative thought forms. Now that many see that it doesn't work as well as it did, they don't see me as someone worth talking to or watching, right? And I'm not going to kiss the feet of their loving leader, nor did I do that, nor did I want to wash the feet of Barack Obama. So I can go on and on for days, but we're going to end here. I want to thank you for watching. You cannot trust the official story about the Trump bombing. Now, having told you that, I am concerned for my own life. I'm concerned about being murdered. I have been for years because of my last name. And so I migrated here to this part of North America because I feared for my life. That's why I'm here in this shithole. I used to own my own land for people that are slow. And most of you never met a dude like me that either had my info, lived off grid, or any of that shit. I'm just a fucking weirdo who's weirder than that guy in the image. That guy in the image is a sexy motherfucker to the average women of this world while they treat me like crap. And somebody might unsub from me thinking I'm racist or hate on their sexuality when they treated me like I'm a nobody and they've hurt my fucking feelings. And the women of this community specifically are almost working for the devil to convert me to the very dark side that they're a part of. In other words, their refusal to even acknowledge that I'm fighting for their future is almost a temptation for me to lose myself in adult content and become one of them. In other words, I believe that women on the earth right now, through their silence, including my mother, subconsciously think that I should be one of them, the dark side, or a typical man that focuses on making money and plays the game, who acts like a stud, right? Who's basically a piece of crap, who's a material guy. Okay. Everywhere I look now, the white chicks and Latina chicks are with black dudes. Okay. That doesn't mean that I hate black dudes. It means that there is a real racism that's running through the opposite gender that has really broken my heart. And so I think what's happened here with my attempts to reach out to locals is they're telling me that my life doesn't matter, even if I say that their life matters. And maybe they're then releasing me from the duties that I think I'm responsible for. Do you catch my drift? Because the new nightmare is about to begin.